Hey guys, it's E-Man and Coleman King, and we are actually doing something different. We are actually going to do pretty much a draft analysis for every single person in my league. If you don't know, I have my own league called the Crown Seasons. And for season 1, I am doing Gen 5 for the funsies. And we have some players who have actually done Gen 5 before, and some very new players. Most of us are very new players, just having fun with it. So that's something to keep in mind while we're doing this. But also, there was a lot of mistakes on my end for certain stuff, specifically with the rules, specifically with like weather. It's a long story, but basically weather was speed boosting abilities are basically banned and all that stuff. And however, I got a little too secure because some players didn't like certainly having the speed boosting ability. It wasn't banned at first because like I said, this is Gen 5, we're having fun, so I was like, yeah, that would be fun to have, again, just for Gen 5, but, and again, makes sense. But I had one of the polls for the ban to just be like all weather boosting abilities, specifically boosting, being banned. So like stuff like Landorus cannot be with T-Tar and stuff, so that's why, fun fact, spoiler, there's gonna be no T-Tar. Just because of certain stuff like that. But anyways, we're gonna get straight into it. We're gonna start out with good old Power here. He was actually the person not only in first pick, but had T-Tar. So Roger the Reuniclus has had T-Tar, and now of course you don't see it after the weather boosting abilities. I do gotta say, I was in love with their first team with T-Tar. They had Landorus, Sheer Force is banned, but Sand Force is not. So basically, he still had Sheer Force Landorus in this meta. Of course, with Rock Polish and all that stuff. And yet again, T-Tar is just such a massive threat here and all that stuff. His team was really awesome. And I also like some of his picks. But of course, after that, he changed the mon. Specifically, now he has Cloyster, Honchkrow, and Cinccino with some of the changes. Same as also with Dugtrio. But we're still going to talk about this team because this team is still very strong. So one thing I do got to keep in mind is that some of these mons, actually a decent amount of these mons, in fact, his last 5 all can use gems. Something that is really scary while prepping, just because you really don't know what's going to come up. Like, you could just see a gem boosted Emboar and it's going to take a life. Same with Honchkrow, honestly. I could see Cinccino, honestly, also using a gem, like, just trying to get that maximum damage, just, like, see if they just want to trade them on, which makes sense, because no tidy up means, you know, kind of get sped, but also, Scarf is really good in this meta, so, makes sense. I also just like Cinccino Gengai. They just kind of have a nice, good core. Normal Ghost is always nice to have. But, yeah, those gems are going to be really annoying to prep for the last 5, but also, I don't fully know how some of these mods are going to actually do, because for week 1, spoil it, week 1 has already happened. Of course, he had the Sand Team for week 1, so we haven't seen some of these mods in play, so I could see some really cool sets, like, Foresight is something that I could see coming with Cinccino, and Cinccino just could be a massive set, which could be really cool. I could definitely see some really cool Honchkrow sets as well, and Dugtrio is also something that I'm kind of excited to see. And again, no sand boosting, but it is just regular old Dugtrio, and Dugtrio is actually a pretty big threat with his attack stat, and yet again, EQ spam is kind of nice to this meta, but there's also a lot, like, we'll get into the full draft, but currently you could see everyone, like, the next 4 teams, they all have some great flying types, so that's something I could see happen, just Dugtrio not coming often. However, we do gotta talk about good old Jirachi Reuniclus. Jirachi is probably like the Spectre of Gen 5 meta. I personally think of, like, you need a draft a check for it. If you don't draft a check for it, you can very much just get 6'd by it, like, turn 1. Scarf Jirachi is stupid good in this meta, as there's just not a lot of base 100 speed mons, let alone some that could just outbeat Jirachi. And then, of course, the Serene Grace flinches is always just such a nuisance, and really puts in work into this meta, as it's just not like the crazy bulky water types are running around. So, and same thing with dark types. So we don't have all those crazy good dark and water types running around. They're either pretty fragile, or maybe there's some bulky ones, like, you know. But yet again, it's just also the fact that it's going to be really hard to check both stab typings. Plus, Jirachi is just pretty amazing into this format, as it is a mythical, and I think all mythicals are pretty insane in Gen 5. Just the fact that you quite literally don't know what's coming is really good. So that is something that I really like about Jirachi, and I'm little jelly picked it up round 3. But also a mon that I could see really putting in work is Uniclus and Fracture. I know those are two weird. I think Fracture is such a sleeper pick, and he got such a steal. He was 1 point. We should have put it for like 4 points. It is such a good mon, especially with Dragon Spam being a thing. That mon very easily could put in work. And like I'm in a low tier draft in a Gen 9 format, and that mon is putting in work right now. So now just imagine all the fairy types gone. So this mon, it could go crazy, and I think it has a decent special attack stat that it could actually use hidden power for specifically some annoying threats, like Fortress is one a big one. Like, hey, that checks it hard, but if it has a decent special attack stat, it can win hidden power fire. So it's a pretty crazy good threat, especially for 1 point. Big steal. And then Uniclus is, yet again, dark types are just not super predominant into this meta. There's of course some good ones, like, you know, there's always good ones like Revile and stuff running around, all that. But definitely not as much, same with Ghost, not as much running around in like Gen 7, Gen 8, Gen 9. So Psychic Spam is really good into this meta. And then Uniclus not only having Magic Word Life Orb, hitting as hard as Alakazam, but, you know, bulkier. But also just having the regen pull really annoying. Like, Psychic Spam regen is stupid. It's gonna just do so much work. But also, I just know that Calm Mind Acid Armor is a set that we have, I have used, and has put in massive work in Gen 9 and Gen 8. So now imagine in Gen 5, which yet again, not a great amount of checks. So this mon really could put in work. I'll do a little spoiler, but in week 1, he got really unlucky and he got critical hit with Uniclus, but he was pretty much so close to just 6-0 with Uniclus. And it's just crazy to be like, okay, this just happened. So that mon's really strong. I'm excited to see if he could put in some more work with that, especially since it's his mascot. But one mon I really want to talk about that I think is gonna actually maybe be a kill leader is big old Ember right there. Ember with gems is insane. I think I think that was a steal, not a steal, but I think that was a kind of like a damn. Maybe this should have been 8 points. This mon is debatably one of the hardest hitting fire types, which is crazy to say. There's an Entei on screen. I have Victini. There's Heatran. But the fire fighting spam is just so good here, and his attack stat is insane. Sadly, no Reckless, because Gen 5 hitting abilities did not come out. Of course, during Gen 5, I think it was Gen 6 or 7. So he can only run Blaze, but yet again, that works kind of well with the Flare Blitz. I have ran some non-Reckless Ember sets just to get those cheeky little Blaze boost, because that is basically a banded Flare Blitz. But yet again, the flying types are not super predominant yet again in this meta, so like fire fighting spam is so good. I think like Infernape is like at its peak doing this, and it's just so good. Maybe not peak. I think Gen 8 was actually his peak because he has heavy DD. Yeah, it's a really good mon, and I already know that it has put in work for him, and I could definitely see it just going crazy. Yet again, Scrife is also just really good here into most teams, so that is a mon that I could see kind of just being a power, a team kill leader, because it's just a pretty good one. It's a really great one, and I'm a little jelly that he got it, honestly. Once he drafted it, like, oh, that would have been so good if I picked that up, but you guys know that I have Victini, so I'm not upset about it. Now, next up is Stano, with the Missing Nose, which I do gotta say, shout out to him. He joined in the middle of the draft because someone had to drop out. So shout out to him. He had to do makeup picks and all that stuff, but look at this crazy team. This team is insane. Thundurus, Suicune, and Scizor, those three alone are just insane. Like, this is like a top 3 team because of that. Like, it is such a good trio. Not to mention Thundurus in this format is so busted. Also, it's crazy that Thundurus lasted like round 5. Round 5, by the way, because he made some makeup picks and he was like, I'm just gonna do all of them in one go. So like, I think he picked up Thundurus, Suicune, Scizor, and like Uxie all at the same time, I believe, something like that. Sorry. So yeah, it was just like, damn, I can't believe that lasted. But yeah, Thundurus with Terra, or not Terra, sorry, I keep saying that. Hidden Power is really insane in this format, and yet again, Prankster, Thunderwave is just so busted into this format of just Dragon Spam, Dragon Spam, Dragon Spam, D-Dance, and stuff like Alakazam running around. Same with Skyfers. It's just like this mon is really, really good into this format, and it's 18 points for a reason. And I'm kind of excited to see also like the draft. I know he's been banned in Gen 5, and we did some polls. I think we did 2 polls actually for Thundurus because it was a little sketchy. Because it's like, hey, this is a really, really, really strong mon with just the diversity, let alone like that he could bring all the diversity in one whole set, which is really crazy. But I think with certain stuff like, hey, ground types, ground types are pretty big. Of course, he does have hidden power, but like, for the most part, Thundurus would have to do a decent job, but that's where Suicune comes into play, and I think Suicune Thundurus is such a good duo, and Suicune is so busted into Gen 5. I think Suicune is like top 5 mon in Gen 5. It is so annoying to deal with. Like, there's just not really good ways to threaten it, and one thing I know people love to do is like run special or physical certain mons in like Gen 9 or Gen 8 that are AV just to take the hits and 1v1 it. Just to get it to that low HP and stuff, just so it's no longer a threat. But there's no AV and stuff like that, so a lot of people's, at least a lot of new players' thought process definitely would also be a little hindered. So it's a mon that could put in a lot of work. And another spoiler, that this mon did put in a lot of work in his week. I think he got like 3 kills, and it almost 6-0'd swept. It is a mon that is just insane, and it can run the basic set of Calm Mind, Scald, like Rest, and maybe like Ice Beam, or even Hidden Power. One of those. And it's gonna put in work. It's gonna be impossible to stop, really. You gotta get that Toxic off. Hoping that he doesn't have Substitute. So it's a really good mon and great speed tier. It's a really, really good mon. I'm a little jealous on that, honestly. I can't lie. I did have Suicune over Starmie for a little bit on my team, and I was just like, man, I want to use Starmie. So that's why I did that. But I do think Suicune is super good. And of course, we have to talk about Scizor. Scizor into this format is stupid strong. There is just no good check to Scizor into this format. Especially since some of the best checks, like Moltres, does no heavy duty boots. Same with a lot of boots. Boots are a good check to good old Scizor, which yet again, rocks are just super predominant. It's gonna be pretty much impossible to not let this mon go off every week. Luckily, he doesn't have gems, so that is something really nice to think about. But I could very, very much see a lot of weeks where he just simply brings like an SD Bullet Punch set, and it's game over. Like, there's just no way to stop it, really. You're really gonna have to make sure you have a mon that's faster than Scizor that can also revenge kill. If not, you're kind of screwed, which is crazy to say. It's just like, you gotta make sure you can't do maximum damage, and you could just kind of spam those bullet punches instead. But yet again, that bullet punch is still gonna do mass damage into this format. And again, there's just not a lot of great checks running around because of the good old stealth rocks. So it's such a good mon and a good pick that he did. I also had Scizor over Thundurus over for a while, but then I saw Thundurus around. I'm like, I gotta pick that up. So. But just know, if Thundurus wasn't picked up, Therian, that is, I was picking up Scizor, so. Of course, we gotta talk about the rest of his team. I know we were kind of laser focusing on those 3. It's just such a good 3. Donphan has a removal, pretty great. I love that. And again, no AV, sadly, so special mons do kind of just mess it up. But I think that you could take advantage of that with Suicune. Another one that I'm a little mad about that I wish he kind of also took advantage of was like getting a really good Spadef wall. Because he also now has Tangrowth, which is yet again another stupidly amazing physical wall. However, its Spadef stat is super crippled, and it pretty much runs mono AV in like Nat Dex and Gen 8 and all that stuff. In other drafts, and even on like Nat Dex Salada. It's just an AV spammable mon. So now not having AV is just really hard. Yet again, into his team that like, he doesn't have like a super great Spadef wall. He has Suicune, and that's it. However, Donphan doesn't like taking those grass moves, and Suicune doesn't like either. So that's the problem, but I do like the Tangrowth Synchro. That's something I really like, so. Uxie can also help with the Donphan for a little bit, maybe. Like, a defensive Yuki is also really nice here. I do like Uxie a lot, just like a really good Stealth Fox user. U-turn, great coverage, and then yet again, the nice bulk around. Like I said, I do kind of wish there was a little more Spadef on the side of just like being able to really take advantage of like Tangrowth's weaknesses and making a mon that could take those advantages. Make it advantages. But yet again, he has some good monster. Like, I think Sableye is really good. Like, Sableye Prankster is also a really good threat here into this format, which, yet again, Dragon Slam running around, it's just such a good way to stop a lot of stuff like that. Plus, Sableye Screens is really nice. I think he doesn't get any momentum in this format, so that's a little different. He's definitely a very, very passive user in this format, but I still think it's a good user. Like, Screens with Scizor SD is stupid, Screens with Calm Mind Suicune is stupid, and same with Thunders. Like, he has a lot of mons, and Rapidash is a really good pick for, like, 3 points. Like, Gem Boosted is really nice, and then just Flare Blitz Spam is really nice. However, no high horsepower, because that's not invented yet. So, this mon is very quick Flare Blitz, and nothing else. So that is something to keep in mind. And that's why I do think it's on the lower points of just like, it's a really good mon to click Flare Blitz, but that's it. So just a good water type does hard water. Apologies for the cut, but hey, it happens. I was saying that I do think this, like, these top 3 really just is so busted, and it's such a good, like, team core that I could really see this being like a top 5 team. But it's also, yet again, really tough. Like, I could see a lot of matches where, like, these 3 just kind of get, like, chip really easily, or just simply just die because they have, like, good counters to it, and this team could just kind of fall apart. But yet again, he does have, like, backup Lucario, which is really nice. Like, E-Speed Bam and all that stuff's really nice. So, but I do want to move on to next, which is Machka, I don't know, with the Drift Rail Dragons. His team I really like. This team is a massive threat. This is honestly, like, definitely top 2 teams in the whole format. This is probably one of the scariest teams in the whole format. Landorus, Dragonite, Rotom Wash, Alakazam, Fortress, Slowking, Entei, Cacturne, and Bayonet. This team is a threat, and I think Cacturne will just steal. I was thinking about picking up Cacturne for my own team. I'm like, 3-point Sucker Punch is so good into this format, especially with Psy Spam. So that is such a good mon, and Gems is just being allowed. I'm like, oh my god, such a good pick. Bayonet is the really only mon I'm like, it's not such a massive threat, but yet again, it's still a decent mon. I think it's just not a massive threat because, like, no Poltergeist, so it doesn't hit super hard. Willow Spam is kind of what it does. Destiny Bond, it's super slow, however. I do think it's just like, hey, here's a Ghost type, here's something to extra prep for 1 point. I just don't think, yeah, it makes sense why it's 1 point for a reason. But, we have to talk about this crazy team. He got the insane busted Rotom Wash Landorus T-Core, which is just so strong in any single format, ladder, format, draft, anything. It's just such a good core, and now he has it in this Gen 5 format, which is both of their peaks. This is peaks for both of them. Landorus has his best moveset, Rotom Wash has his best moveset. This is such a massive threatening team. Dragonite is also a really good user to just, like, spam E-Speed or just spam Dragon Claw into this format. Of course, they can't really take advantage of that multi-scale because of rocks. However, we go look down and he has Fortress, one of the best hazard spinners in the game, and hazard spammers. So now it's like, oh, this Dragonite's a big threat now with good Fortress. And yet again, Fortress is up there as one of the best dragon users, or checks for dragon users, because, like, for instance, stuff like Haxorus doesn't get a fire move, and Fortress could take EQ and dragon moves. I don't know how well it takes a hidden power fire, but it's still gonna wall pretty amazing. So that is just such a good theme right there. Like, he could just make sure Hazards will come up for this multi-scale Dragonite to just sweep. And yet again, round 4 Alakazam is insane. Insane. This mon is one of the best, if up there, maybe not the best, but one of the best spam users in the entire game. Like, hidden power is base 75, and Alakazam is incredibly fast and stupid special attack stat. And now he can just spam Psychic, and when he doesn't need to, he can just spam hidden power. This mon, I will not be shocked at all if this guy just gets, like, multiple 5-0s because of Alakazam existing and just clicking moves. Like, there's just no way to check this mon. This mon is a monster in this format, and, like, it's just crazy it got around 4. I definitely thought it was going to be a round 1 pick for some people. Just like, this mon is going to click buttons and win. There's no way to stop it. Especially when it's not a lot of dragons. And again, even Psychic types don't like taking Psychic well, which is funny. To say, just like, a lot of them don't like taking it. There's a decent amount, don't get me wrong. Like, a lot of the mythical, there's some good ones, like Crest and all that stuff. But, like, a lot of like non-high points psychic types are just not going to take psychic moves from an Alakazam. So, of course, yet again, there's a lot of counters to it. Sucker Punch is a big one, and Scarf Fuses are also another big one. But like he has such an amazing team to encourage Alakazam endgame that it's going to be pretty hard to kind of get that Sky Fuse or that Sucker Punch user into the end game where Alakazam is about to clean up. Not to mention, I could see a lot of Focus Sash sets with this team and just like really encouraging it. Also, Slowking more bulk with this crazy team is really insane. With Regenerator, sadly Teleport doesn't work how it does in Gen 8, and Chilly Reception doesn't exist. So this mon is has a hard swap out, which is not a big bad thing. Still has Toxic, Slackroth, and Thunder Wave, so this mon is still a massive threat. And Entei is just Entei. Sacred Fire Spam is stupid good into this format, and E-Speed is also amazing. And then, like I said about Cacturne, Sucker Punch spam is so good in this format, and Psychic spam is so predominant, so Cacturne's actually a really amazing pick for that. I'm in Gems. But, like, god damn. Like, his first 7 could just... they're all gonna come every week. Like, you don't know which 6 is coming. These mons are a monster, and this is easily probably the best, or probably, like, second best team in the entire format. So, good job on his end for making this insane team right here. Next up, we have good old Okami, our co-owner, or side owner. He had to go through a lot of changes, which I feel bad about. He had a big Sun team, which you guys will see in week 1 of my match of what we fought, which was pretty threatening. I liked it a lot. And then, you know, we had to ban the weather. But this team is still scary. Tornado Therian is so busted into this format, like, there's not really a lot to check it, let alone, like, T-Tar is still on the board, so it's not even like someone has a crazy good check to throw in, which, yet again, gets Focus Blast and Hidden Power in this format. I just can't stress enough that, special attack users are just so strong into this format that it's just like, damn, that having a good one's insane. So having Torn is really good, and Torn Heatran is such an amazing duo, like, that is just such a great core there, and Heatran's also, I don't know if it's in his peak, but he's definitely in a prime of some sort. You know, he definitely does pretty insane into this format, both defensively and offensively. And then Scarf Eruption is just so good into this format, just cause there's fire types, but a lot of fire types are not like bulky. It's crazy to say that some of the bulky fire types are like Victini, which is I have. There's some good ones, and then, yet again, this water. You know, there's always water checks, but Heatran does get his power and stuff, so Heatran's a great threat. Breloom is also really amazing. No Spore, luckily, but Breloom is still really good. Like, Technician, Mach Punches are just great revenge killers, but also Poison Heal Stall is really nice into this format. Sub, Focus Puncher sets, Leech Seed, Poison Heal is just such an annoying set to deal with in a lot of matches. There's a lot of sets where I could just see him bring that, and he brings Sub, and now he's getting a kill, basically. Or not even a kill, but he's making one mon pretty much useless, because they're just going to be super low HP. So that's honestly a really good mon. He had Spore in mind with it, but I still think this mon is so good. And then Sharpedo. Sharpedo is a pretty nice Dark mon to take advantage of those really fast Psychic types of like, hey, if you're going to try to do Psychic spam, not anymore. I got Sharpedo, and I'm going to outspeed you. And I know Sharpedo is one of his favorite mons of all time, so really cool that I get to see him use it, and he has gems with it, of course. So this mon could really put in work for like Water Gem, Aqua Jets to try to take some kills of like the big checks to it, and then just, you know, trying to take over the game. And yet again, Sharpedo is a really nice end game user. Even early game user with Sash is really nice. I have seen a couple of Sash Sharpedo sets of like in just in like higher or nat decks of just like being a lead and trying to get some breakthrough. So it's a really good mon and just all around. And then he has big old Haxus. Oh my lord, Haxus. Haxus is a really amazing Dragon Mon user in this format. I mean, there's of course better ones like Salamence. Most of the pseudos are just better, but Haxus, being a fake pseudo, is still pretty good at its job, and it's a pretty massive threat. And Mold Break is really nice because Levitate users, so I don't know if there's any unaware users. At least any to take advantage of that ability, so I don't even think that's gonna... I don't think Mold Break is gonna come into play for that, but it's still really good. And then yet again, just coverage set for hacks is really nice, and he has great special attacks. So not only could he use Terror, god damn, I keep saying Terror, Hidden Power, but he can also just use stuff like Fire Blast, which is what he get, and like Blizzard and all that stuff, which is scary moves to run, of course, because he could miss, but they do put in work if you need to check him on. So that is just a really good threat, and yet again, SD or D-Dance just kind of takes over a game, any match. But now he has, changes that he had was Cresselia, Sigilyph, and Gigalith. I actually like these changes a lot. I was really close to drafting Sigilyph. I think Sigilyph is a really fun mon, a really cool mon, and stuff like Psycho Boost is such a good thing that he gets spammed. Psycho Boost, like Flame Orb. Pretty just nice mon overall. I think it also gets Magic. Oh yeah, duh, he gets Magic Guard, but he can run Life Orb as well. So it's a hard threat to actually check. And since he doesn't have to run heavy duty because he physically can't, he could use gems pretty much to his advantage at most weeks. And yet again, Hidden Power is really nice here for Sigilyph. Really good pick, I feel like. And then again, Psystam's nice. And then he has Cresselia with his other change, which is really nice bulk, which I do think he does have Torn. He does have like some stuff like Heatran and Togekiss, which is some bulk in a way. However, I do think a lot of them really like running offensive in this set or in this format. And a lot of them really hate rocks, which if you look at his team, his hazard removal isn't great, which is something I do gotta say. His hazard removal, like he could be spammed a lot of weeks and just completely be shut down to it, sadly. But I do think Sigilyph and both Togekiss get defog, but yet again, I think Torn as well. But you don't want these users that, you know, be the users that hate rocks, come in on rocks and get rid of it, especially since the opponents will so heavily take advantage of that. But like, it's still just one of those things of like, you know, I could also see a lot of weeks, so like, he just doesn't bring hazard removal at all. So now he just has a like very like offensive team or even defensive team, but just gets completely rocked by hazards. So that's something I'm a little worried about with this team. But I don't know, he still has such a good team, and Torn T with that insane speed stat is also really strong. I'm on that. It was banned, but now it's not. By the way, it's not 19 points, it's 18 points. I don't know why it's glitched for some reason on the dock, and I've tried to change it like 10 times, and it keeps going back to 19. I don't know if someone's fucking with me, or if it's just glitched, but yeah, it's supposed to be 18. There's no 19-point users in this format, so yeah. And then Gigalith is a nice check. I don't think it gets Sandstream, sadly, that's why it's 4 points. So it's just simply a nice wall, but a good Rocks user I like for his team. And yeah, we're gonna skip over my team because I did a whole draft analysis about it, of course. So we're gonna talk about the rest over here. We're kind of at the halfway mark, and some of these teams, these are the big threat teams right here. As you can see, these next 4 massive threats. Of course, we're gonna have to talk about Wally, the Cleveland Dupiters, and this insanely good team. Salamence, I think personally is the best dragon user in the format. I think Garchomp is definitely amazing, don't get me wrong, and stuff like QM. But Salamence with Moxie or Intim just to really encourage this mon, just to 6-0, is so easy into this format. And yet again, all these dragons get Earthquake, all these dragons get Iron Head, all these dragons get Poison Jab. It's just almost impossible to check them. It's not really possible to check them. So the fact that he can just really use that, and then he also has like Metagross, which is such another massive threat into this format, and a really good defensive user too, for his team, which I really like. Metagross Salamence is actually a really good core. I like that a lot, actually. Really good core. Then he has Celebi to encourage both of them, which is really nice. I did think Celebi got Wish when he drafted it. I was like, oh damn, that's really good. And then I don't know why I thought I got Wish, but it doesn't. So no Wish there. But really good trio right there. And then he also has Clefable to really encourage like Wish spam, Thunder Wave spam. Also Clefable just being a really annoying nuisance early game, not only with rocks, but also like Magic Guard is just a big threat of Calm Mind or just Life Orb, being a really big annoyance. And then he has Nidoking to be an amazing breaker even in the end game. Although I think Salamence is going to be the good end game breaker, but Nidoking is a really good early game breaker as well. It's just a good mon all around Nidoking. And I definitely think last pick Nidoking was insane. To be fair, I did have him on my team, but point wise, I was like, I can't put him. So, yeah, I do think this is a really good team. I also love the Lantern and Frostlass. Like, these are just great users, Spike users. Hazard Blocker, Magmortar is really great gem spam user, and yet again, Terra Blast is really nice. And then Lantern's a really nice bulk, and Frostlass is just a great user overall. Hitmonchan has his hazard removal. I am not a big fan of. I do wish he had better hazard user of removal, like just a good rapid spinner for this team, as he doesn't want to defog all his spikes and rocks away. But I do see a lot of weeks where he could just bring defog. I think a decent amount of these mons get defogged for some reason. I think. But maybe I'm thinking different. But yeah, hazard removal is just but I also kind of understand why the team also could very much just be HO, especially with that Slack King. 2-point Slack King with normal gem is going to get a life. There's no way to put around it, so that's a really good check there. Not good check, but good mon there, especially with not a lot of ghost types running around. Especially since he is one of the best ones, I would say. I think Frostlass is up there, so great job on his team, and I can't lie, this is definitely like a really terrifying team. I could see a lot of matches, not matches, but just a lot of weeks. So it's like I did have a check for this team, but I no longer do because his whole team could be offensive. Like Nasty Plot, Celebi, Metagross, Salamence, like Life Orb Clef, maybe not even Life Orb, Nidoking, and like Magmortar or Slack King could just completely destroy every single check. So now this team, oh boy, Mushroom Flower. This team is probably, this is the other contestant for being first place, I think. Like, just, I don't even have to say much about it without you guys just seeing, yeah, this is a threatening team. And Gen 5 as well, stupid good team. Garchomp Zapdos, insane core. Weavile, insane mon in this format. Zapdos is a good mon that, even though he hates rocks, is a great user to also defog him away. He just loves to like get those statics, so you can always be punished, just because you can. Pretty much is the best way to put it. Like, it's not really a great way to put it, just like, you could be punished because game said so. But also he has a great stealth rock. I don't know how to put it, but Xatu is such a good user for Magic Bounce. Like, if you see Xatu, you know you're not putting rocks in this format, or not into that week. Like, it's just a good possibility, but you're like, okay, I can't put rocks up. But he also has Hitmontop. Like, he has such great hazard removals for this format. Xatu, Hitmontop, and Zapdos, which is one of the only flying types, like I said, do really like to just take the rocks, heal up, and defog them away and dip. So it's a really good user. And Garchomp Zapdos, great core. I also love Hitmontop as a defensive threat here, and also good offensive endgame Mach Punch user. But also he got big Infernape, which, like I said, I think Infernape is like probably one of the best fire types. He's really insane. He's pretty busted. Great speed tier. You don't know if it's special or physical. Heavily abuses hidden power here, especially on the physical side. Like, it can just be mixed, and it's gonna be game over. This mon is one of the mons that I could very, very, very easily just see kill leader, like just being the kill leader of the whole league. This mon is so stupid strong, and like I said, fire fighting spam is stupid busted into this format. There's just not really great checks. Also, sorry if you hear the massive thundering outside. I apologize. But yeah, so that is just a massive threat. I'm like, damn, man, this team is probably the best. Also, like, we gotta talk about like Gem, Sceptile, and pulling out. Like, I'm not trying to deter the other mons like Regirock and all this stuff because I'm not talking about them. These are also incredible bulk, incredible threats, and great users for rocks and stuff. I'm just like, these are the big threats. Like, these like 5 alone can win most weeks, and now add all these other monsters. Insane. Like, I love Sceptile's insane speed tier. Regirock bulk is crazy good here. Rocks is really nice, especially if you want like offensive chomp, which I think he might. Polian's a great threat here. I love that. Also double Gen 4 starters. Hell yeah. And then Mischievous is actually a really good 2-point user. Just like, I think a lot of people see Mischievous in Gen 9 being used really often nowadays. Like, it's up to like 4 points now in Gen 9. It's just being a good check, mainly for like Ursaluna and stuff, but it still checks these mons really well. Like, Wally gets fucked by this team, like hard counted by this team in a way. So like, that's why I'm like, oh damn, this is crazy, you know? That's just stuff like that, where it's like, you can see a lot of weeks where like, he just has the amazing matchup, not because his team's amazing, but because he has some of the best checks. Like, Regirock is a really good threat. I think the Reggies are pretty amazing to this format. I think, of course, Ice is the worst for obvious reasons, but you know. I do want to talk about good old Hot Pocket here. Young Hot Pocket. He made good old rain. Politoed, Kingdra, Volcarona, Jolteon, Whimsicott, Cryogonal, Escavalier, Blastoise, Tornadus, and Beartick. Now, weather boosting abilities are banned, which means no Swift Swim for Beartick, no Swift Swim for Kingdra, and but Rain Dish is allowed because it's not a boosted ability. So Rain Dish Blastoise is stupidly amazing on the bulks factor, but also really busted on the shell smash factor. That mon is also like one of those contestants of like, I'm not surprised this mon just like puts in stupid amounts of work every week and could be a kill leader. I don't think it's going to be top dog kill leader just because there's such crazy threats in this format, but I do think it could be like top 5. It's such a good mon. It's really strong, and especially he could take heavily advantage of this with Jolteon as well as like a good user, and then Tornadus as a backup for Grass. This is such an amazing team. Volcarona is sketchy, especially since his hazard removal is Craggle, and then I think Tornadus gets it, but both of them absolutely hates rocks. Like they hate it so much. It's not great hazard removal, and it's something I kind of wish that he prioritized, especially if he had Volcarona in mind. Like Volcarona is stupid busted in this format. Hidden Power, just Quiver Dance is pretty much a free win in this format. However, like just no heavy duty does mean like if you get rocks up, and this guy doesn't have good hazard removal, or you have a good spin blocker, Volcarona's out. It's dead. It's not taking hits. It's not gonna do anything. It's gonna die. It gets one switching. And then yet again, he can't run Morning Sun. Oh, he can run Morning Sun, but if you don't know, Morning Sun and Rain actually weakens Morning Sun. So it does like 20%, I think, maybe 25. Like it's not as much as what Morning Sun would originally do. So this mon does have to come in, get kills, and then die. That's what Volcarona is going to have to do, sadly. And I just can't see Volcarona as an endgame user into this format, let alone with this team. I think this team is really strong, and I think this team loves Rain. Like, this is a really good Rain team. I love it, actually. Especially since he can't use the Rain, like, he can't use weather boosting abilities. Like, if he could, this team is just Jover. It's going to be top 5. Not top 5, like, best team. But it's still a really good team. Politoed is He does have to use Hidden Power, but no Flip Ton and stuff, so he's definitely hindered. But yet again, Permanent Rain is just such a good thing to bring. Like, it doesn't matter if it's one of your slots, it's a good mon. But yeah, I could see like lead Volcarona being such a common lead for him. Yet again, sadly, could be heavily counted if just, seeing that as like this is the only chance Volcarona gets, so you could just take advantage of that. But I don't know, hey, maybe he brings Craggle more often, and maybe Craggle goes crazy, like, there's a good chance Craggle could. Hidden Power's actually really good with it. Pretty good mon for its coverage sake, but I do, like I said, wish there was a little bit more hazard removal in a way, that at least that like to come in on hazards and remove it, not ones that take 25%, and one of them is permanent chip, so, yeah. Next is, a admin that we have. Shout out to Baryodon. He's been such a massive help in this league, so kudos to him and just being awesome all around. But yeah, he's a pretty insane team too. I think this is like this team I was also thinking about as like top 2, but I do think compared to the other two, sadly isn't, just because of the last 2 picks. Togekick, Marowak, good mons, don't get me wrong, but most of the time you're not going to see them coming, and most of the time they're not going to put in work. So it's definitely like those top 8 that you see is going to come in most of the time. And he has some great top 8s though. Jellicent, amazing mon in this format. This is like definitely one of the peak Jellicent times. Like, it just is so good here. I think, of course, it doesn't have Strength Sap, so maybe not peak, but it's definitely great. Especially with his team, Kyurem is such a stupid threat. I think Kyurem should have been more points. I think Kyurem is unbelievably busted in this format. Like, his coverage, let alone is busted, but Roost just kind of makes this mon win every single week. I'm going to do a little spoiler. I know I'm going to do a watch together and do a whole video about that, but Kyurem he just clicked Roost in the first week and won because of that. Like, he took rocks, he took massive damage, doesn't care, Roost. So it's such a good mon. Exegil, hazard removal, amazing user. I love that core of Kyurem Exegil. And then yet again, Jellicent just being a great Spadef, also good. I love Raikou as well. Yet again, taking advantage of those special mons with Hidden Power is really nice. Same with Espeon. Raikou definitely likes it more. Scald, Thunder can take also advantage of the Rain user, or the Rain team. And then yet again, just nice coverage all around with Hidden Power. And then the bulk is really nice. And then Volt Switch spam is nice. That's one thing I do wish that he had more of, which was kind of U-turn for this team. Like, U-turn for Kyurem could just go insane, and even some Exegil teams, like, he could just run an offensive SD Exegil set. He could go crazy. Darmanitan, It's like the only mon in the entire format that just doesn't have a switch-in, period. There's no switch-in at all. Like, for instance, we can look at Peanatella's team with Tentacool. It's taking like 50%, and EQ has come in the very next turn. Not to mention, I think the only possible check time was Jellicent, which he has, which is such a great, smart thing that I love, but what people do that. I do that often. I see people do it. I'm like, that's such a good thing to do. Draft like a big check for one of your users and try to make it also work with your team is so nice. So good thing on that. And Shaman's really good. Like I said, all mythicals are definitely amazing to this format. So really good bring on that part. And then Gem Scrafty could put in some work. Dragon Dance, Intim, Moxie. It's a mon that I sadly don't know if it will put in work. Not because I'm like a hater. I love Scrafty. Scrafty's my favorite mon. I'm just using it in a low tier draft, and I'm trying to use them, make them work. And I'm just like, sometimes it's just really hard sometimes, mainly because of his speed too. But he does get like bulk up and shed skin, and he can run stuff. So I think I do think Scrafty is really good. Don't get me wrong. I just do sadly wish Scrafty had, I don't know, something to help him, but I could see an endgame Scrafty being good here. But yeah, this team is crazy threatening. And yet again, Magic Bounce Espeon, so good. I love it. Like, his half removal is insanely good and amazing team here. This is probably like third best team in the entire format, or entire team here, so shout out to him. And final team, the Marinis. Peanutella, she has a scary ass team. She has Ferrothorn, Hydreigon, Tentacool, Azelf, Mienshao, Spiritomb, Rotom Heat, Claydol, Audino, and Seaking. Really good team here. Seaking, it's a Seaking. I don't know, could do something. Audino is nice regenerator. Regenerator core with Mienshao, Audino. I love that. I love that a lot. And then Spiritomb is really nice to take advantage of that fighting weakness, especially with Hydreigon and Audino, so really good kudos there. Same with Claydol, actually. Claydol can just kind of take his psychic defensive bulk right there and be like, hey, I'm taking these CCs. Claydol's also an amazing rock user in this format, and just a nice bulk all around. And yet again, look at his like Spiritomb, Rotom, Claydol, Audino is just enough bulk for this whole team, let alone now they have Tentacool. And Mienshao sadly doesn't have AD, so it's not bulky in this format. However, stupidly good offensive stat, stupidly fast of mon in this format. It's just really good. I also just like Azelf Mienshao as a nice little mini core right there, just helping with each other's weaknesses and advantages, and having that. She really took advantage with Hydreigon as Azelf with the hidden power too, so really good job on her end with that. Like, this is a really good team. Ferrothorn yet again just being like probably the best defensive mon in the entire format, probably. I mean, there's some good ones, but I think Ferrothorn is peak. Nah, not peak, but definitely up there. Peak was definitely Gen 8. But yeah, it's a really, really good mon, and I can't lie, I like this team a lot. I also love the momentum. Azelf, Mienshao, Rotom Heat, Audino gets a Baton Pass, Hydreigon, Tentacool. Like, pretty much this entire team gets momentum. So this is really good, and not to mention, just great balance. There's not really the only, I don't really have a complaint about this team at all. There's definitely sometimes I could just see some teams being overwhelmed. Like, for instance, Haxorus is a big threat to this team. Yeah, they have Ferrothorn. Well, like I said, Haxorus can run Fire Blast, can run Hidden Power, and delete that Ferrothorn. So it's one of the things where, like, specifically in this format, just gets fun too. But still not like a bad mon or a bad team at all. It's still incredibly incredibly massive good team. I love the speed tiers as well. This team doesn't really have much complaints. Like I said, just the only thing being like some specific mons could be scary, but I don't think that's like a big massive hindrance, especially if they have ways to deal with it. I know Peanutella loves to run good sets and always have some little tricky stuff, so I know they'll probably be able to deal with stuff like Haxorus and stuff. So also have Hydreigon to always counter a lot of these pseudo dragons, as it's its own pseudo dragon, and Hydreigon definitely has an advantage with speed tiers in most weeks, so that's another nice thing. But yeah, I do think I'm just gonna end that there, honestly. I think that good way around to put it. That is everyone's team. I do gotta say, there's not one bad team in this, so if all the people are watching this, great job, guys. Like, this is such a great, it's really hard to have everyone have a good team, and it's not like even saying someone made a bad team. It's just like sometimes, your team takes a big sharp turn because you got sniped a lot, or just simply big point users get taken. You know, like there's not a lot of big point users left around now. So there's just a good chance of like, hey, some of these guys could just have bad teams, but they took advantage of it. They took advantage of the low point mons incredibly well with like Mischievous, even Togekick's a nice user right here with Thunderwave Spam. Like this is really good. I really love all these teams around, and I'm really happy that everyone has like a good team, and I honestly think every team here is really fun. I don't really see one team that's not really fun here. Maybe the only one maybe being this, and I just not a big fan of Shell Smash nowadays. So maybe that's why I'm just like close to the big user, I don't know, kind of passive-ish team with like Quag and Kalista, you know, but it's still a really good team all around. So, but yeah, I really like this everyone's teams, and of course there's some big threats. I do think there's an obvious one, really obvious one. But yeah, so like I said, great job to everyone, and that is the draft analysis. I will be doing a watch together pretty much of going through every single week 1 matches, of course, besides mine, for obvious reasons. I'll have the video up for that. And yeah, I'm also gonna have like Mon of the Week and all that stuff for players who are in the league to watch around. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Later.